the 6Three podcast, your home for the most in-depth analysis on all things sports, entertainment, and basically anything else you can storm up, where we have some of the hottest takes, some of the craziest takes.
The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
Some of the dumbest takes.
I have an IQ of 48.
And where we believe that opinions are like,
But you don't say that.
and now, to your hosts, Joel and RJ.
And Isaiah. He's got me.
Oh, nice.
Thanks for tuning into the 6'3 podcast. I'm your host alongside my other hosts, RJ and Isaiah.
What's up, everyone?
We are bringing you these top-of-the-line lists, these draft orders. And last week we did top quarterbacks. This week we are going to do the top running back rooms in the NFL. And because I'm the only one that has not picked first yet, I will lead off this. And how do we lead off all drafts?
A curveball? Right out the gate?
No, you got to have the noise, man.
The booing?
Yeah, so bring it on. Let's hear it.
I gotta hear your pick first.
With the first pick in the top running backs NFL draft, Joel is going to pick the New York Giants.
Ooh.
Saquon Barkley is my favorite running back. I think he's the most exciting running back. All that eliteness in him, and then he gets to have a solid number two guy like Deion Lewis. Wayne Gallman has been a very solid fill-in. And I think Jonathan Hilliman, even in his very brief outings for the backfield, did pretty good. And I think that offensive line has just gotten a lot better. Will Hernandez, I think, is one of the best run-blocking guards, so I think that helps. But
We don't talk offensive lines. This is just the running back.
sorry. That'll be another one. We'll go over offensive lines another one.
Oh, boy, I can't wait for that episode.
That's backup center.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's why I am leading it off with the New York Giants. Again, I was more confident in my bottom feeding in this draft, but these top ones, it's going to be fun. We'll see what
obviously,
happens.
yeah, Saquon's obviously one of the best there is in the league. I made my list more based off of overall depth, so I had the Giants down a little bit farther. I had them at 6.
Okay.
I'm at 4.
Okay. All right. I don't feel terrible that you guys didn't have them out of top 10. That's how you know you screwed up if you're 10 away from everyone else.
Yep.
All right. Number 2.
All right. Number 2, it was everyone's hot button pick last year for everything, and then nothing happened with them. I'm going to go with the Browns. It's led by Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt back for his first full season in a couple years. I mean, there may not be a ton of depth there, but there's strength at 1 and 2. Those guys could both lead a team in rushing this season. So those top 2 guys just make them one of the best in the league for me.
Yeah. Great pick. I have them at 3.
I had them at 2 also, so really funny. All right, number 3, Joe might not be so high of him, but I think it's the most depth out of any running back room in the entire NFL. No superstar, but there's so many talented guys. I'm going the Ravens, man. Mark Ingram, the rookie J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, the best fullback in the game, Patrick Ricard. And you can throw in Lamar since Joel threw in his offensive lineman. I'm going to put Lamar in this also because he's good for 1,000 yards.
You really almost
Rushing team.
You could count him as a running back. I did not consider him in my choice. That's why I have the Ravens at 9. But
I have at 7.
okay. I just, again, I'm not going to put a lot of weight on J.K. Dobbins right now because I didn't put weight on Jonathan Taylor or DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, we got Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill.
Getting older, Mark Ingram.
Well, see, those guys are good because you have them on your Madden team and you make it work.
They're amazing on a Madden team.
Larry Rose. Don't forget about Larry Rose.
55 overall, still gets it done.
LaMarcus Beckett. All right, number 4. I am going to put the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
So I've picked 2 NFC East teams in my first 2 picks here. I think the Cowboys obviously are sitting pretty with Ezekiel Elliott, who's got the number 1 arm bar in Madden. And then you have Tony Pollard, who's got the speed. So a nice mix of speed and power in that backfield. Jordan Chun, not too great. I wouldn't put him any higher than a 4th running back on most squads. But Jameez Alawalwe is a great fullback. And I have him as my number 4 fullback in the NFL.
I got a feeling the rest of your NFC East teams won't be set for a while, though, correct?
You are correct.
There's a big gap there.
Yeah.
I made a late change. I had the Cowboys at number 1, but I went with the Browns when I picked just because I don't know. I like them a little more. But with number 5, where we're at now, it was hard to pick these. I was talking about it before we started the show of like number 1 overall guy being incredible versus not a ton of depth versus depth all around. So there's 2 teams, one which fits that depth all around and one that just has a stud top guy. I mean, a good second guy, but not much after that. But I'm going to go with that team with the New Orleans Saints.
That's who I had next. Nice pick.
Yep. I had him ranked number 3. I just you guys will learn this about me, especially when next season starts. I love Alvin Kamara. I love him. So
he's a great weapon. He did have a little bit of a down year compared to his usual, but I love Latavius Murray as a backup. So that's what I was very high on him as well. And Dwayne Washington, old swaggy necks from Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So nice. Yeah, I like that pick.
Solid pick.
And you got a guy named Ricky Ortiz who just sounds like an MMA fighter. So
he's an MMA fighter. I think there is an MMA fighter named Ricky Ortiz.
Yeah.
Again, me thinking on overall depth as a high probably in my list. I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh.
Marlon Mack, rookie Jonathan Taylor, Naeem Hines, Jordan Wilkins. I mean, just so many good running backs on the team.
Yeah, I would say Marlon Mack is a borderline superstar. So I'm not – I had a hard time moving that one up and down on my list for a little while. I actually had them ultimately at 12, but they do have good depth. Again, I'm not going to pick high just because I like Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins or DeAndre Swift, though. So Jonathan Taylor –
because of that, I'm going by the depth, and they have 4 guys that could start on other teams.
Oh, that's high praise for Jordan Wilkins. He could be a number 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some teams he can start on.
Okay, yeah.
We'll
get to those at the very end.
Very good.
All right, with the number 7 pick in the running back NFL draft, I am going to go with the Denver Broncos.
Ooh.
I like Phillip Lindsay, again, with speed. Melvin Gordon, the new acquisition from the Chargers. Royce Freeman, I've always been pretty high on watching him with Oregon. And then Kalfani Mohammed and Levante Bellamy, who I liked in college. Levante Bellamy might not even make the team, but I like the other guys right ahead of him a lot. So again, RJ, that's where your depth comes in. They've got a great 1-2.
They were next on my list.
All right, good stuff. Glad to hear it.
I had him at number 6, but with my next pick, I'll have the only team that hasn't been picked I had higher than the Broncos. Possibly, I don't know, one of the best running back by committee teams in the league, in my opinion, the San Francisco 49ers.
Nice. That's what I had.
I think we talked about it last episode or maybe a couple episodes ago, but they just throw whoever they want at you, and they could have someone rush for 200 yards, and it could be another 150-yard rusher the next game. So it's crazy.
If it was what they had last year, I would probably have them at top 3 because then they would add Matt Breida to that list, who's now with the Dolphins.
Right. I know that was the only reason I almost would have had them if they still had Breida at 1 or 2 because they have 4 guys. They would have had 4 guys. Now they have 3 guys who are just studs.
So 3 of their Breida, and when Breida was there, Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert, those guys are all top 3 in running back speed on Madden. Those guys fly. And that's why I picked the Dolphins for Madden 21, Matt Breida.
Yeah. He went under the radar last year, but I still like Jerick McKinnon. He tore his ACL, I believe, last season, so he didn't play. I don't know if he played at all.
No, he did not play at all. Nope.
Yeah, he didn't play at all. Last time he was in the Vikings 2 years ago, I liked him as the backup there. So I think even though they got rid of Matt Breida, that'll be offset a little bit by having Jerick McKinnon for a full year.
For sure.
All right, this next one pains me a little bit as, a Lions fan. But you got two good running backs, and then you draft another one high. I'm going the Green Bay Packers. You got Aaron Jones, superstar. Jamal Williams, great number 2. And now you have A.J. Dillon to add into that mix. Again, just great depth for Green Bay.
Yeah, A.J. Dillon wasn't high on a lot of draft boards, but he killed it at the combine, and I think that kind of helped him jump from like the 5th round to like the 3rd round. So A.J. Dillon's a nice pickup to go alongside of the successful Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, both I think very underrated running backs in the NFL still by any regard, but it's the first time Aaron Rodgers has also had a good running game behind him other than when he had Eddie Lacy in shape for 1 year.
Eddie Lacy, that's the guy.
Yeah. All right, so that means 10th pick, huh? Is this 10? This is 10.
It's 10.
All right, that means I'm going to go with oh my gosh, RJ. Forgive me. NFC East, Washington Redskins.
Wow, NFC East again. Redskins.
Adrian Peterson, Darius Geis, Peyton Barber, J.D. McKissick, and Bryce Love.
That sounds like a lot of cast-off and a rookie.
I would not call Adrian Peterson a cast. I would just call him elderly.
He's an elderly person, and then Geis cast off. He's always injured. Peyton Barber, definitely cast off.
But Geis is good when he's healthy. But Geis is good when he's healthy.
Traveling circus. And then you got Bryce Love. I had them a lot lower. Like almost
a lot lower.
I had them. I think maybe I just hate the Redskins a lot, though. I had them at 31.
Get the bleep out of here, dude. Come on. Isaiah, where'd you have them at?
I had him at 26.
Okay.
See?
So I just I don't know. Maybe I'm just I sound like Max Kellerman a little bit, but I'm just kind of waiting for Adrian Peterson to just get on it. I don't think he needs to get on out of here, but I'm just waiting for him to have the season where it's all right, Adrian, you got to hang it up. But he still keeps churning out good seasons, so I don't know.
That's why it's hard for me to – that's the same thing why I'm against Tom Brady, though. Tom Brady, eventually I'm waiting for him to decline, but Adrian Peterson is the running back version of it. And so that's why –
same thing.
At this point in time, that's why I have the Redskins still this high, because just like I'm not going to – I had Brady pretty high on the list still in the quarterback draft last week, and I think that's why I have – the Redskins a little higher than maybe you guys. I'm counting on Adrian Peterson. Okay, I'm not going to say.
Starting running back needs a walker. Your backup running back has spent more days in the hospital than on the field. Your third and fourth string running backs have been on 3 or 4 teams, and then your fifth running back is a guy who hasn't even really played yet. So
but they all have different elements to their game that allow variety in the backfield.
If any of them ever get to play.
J.D. McKissick is probably the number 1 utility running back in the league, man. He'll do everything for him.
Hey, Bryce Love was a Heisman hopeful for a couple weeks one time. So.
And he still hauls. He's still fast. I love Bryce Love. But all right, I'll just take the heat. Whatever. We'll see how they turn out this year. But pick 11 then, Isaiah.
All right. Well, it's fallen to me to pick another team that does it by committee, another one that does it incredible. Especially even on our list, he's not ranked number 5. They have 3 guys who just can take over a game for their running game. Used a lot in the passing game as well. It depends a little bit with a couple of them how good their new quarterback is this year, but I'll go with the New England Patriots. Sony Michel, James White, Rex Burkhead. I like all 3 of those guys, and then Brandon Bolden, Damian Harris. They're there. I'm sure Belichick and McDaniels will get the best out of them in their system, but that's the thing. The Patriots just know how to use everybody they have, and they just use these guys very well. I wish they would use Sony Michel a little bit more. I think they could lean on him a little more heavily, but I like him.
So I feel like I would have gotten a lot less heat if I would have just went with who I had at 10, which was the New England Patriots, and picked them at 10. So, again.
I had them up at 8, but.
Yeah, that was a good pick. I was torn on who I wanted to say next because I figured when we talked earlier, it's going to be a while before we hear any other NFC East teams. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure.
You're just going a fast
I
one.
wasn't joking by that, man. I have NFC East way down now. This next one, this is just hopeful. I like seeing stars that when they get hurt, I don't want him to continue to be hurt. I hope he comes back, he's healthy. They made a big trade to get him, so I'm going to put Houston Texans in there, hoping that David Johnson's back to his normal self. If he is, he's one of the best running backs in the league. Duke Johnson would be one of the best number 2s. So based on if he can be healthy, I would put the Texans next.
It's a lot of hopeful, man, because I did
It's a lot of
not,
hopeful.
but I didn't gauge it. Again, that's kind of like my pick. I have the Texans at 25 on my list.
Want to know what's
I'm
not
at 25
hopeful?
as well.
Trading DeAndre Hopkins for him. So if they're willing to trade to Hopkins, I think they know a little bit more about his injury or his health right now than we do.
Yeah,
They
he's got
wanna give
titanium
that up.
leg. Was that part of his last surgery?
Hey, they gave up the best receiver in the league for him.
That's because Bill O'Brien runs that team, dude.
I don't know.
Yo, dude.
Bill O'Brien must have
He
been
wanted
watching
to tank.
Bill O'Brien must have been watching 2016 tape because David Johnson hasn't done anything since then.
Ever since the Lions hurt him in the
Because the Lions
preseason game.
destroyed him.
Can you
He
imagine?
back year's injuries. I think he'll be back this year.
All right. Well, that's cool. I'm hopeful for it too.
Love
I
it. I would love
always root for the guys out of Northern Iowa.
Everyone wants to see guys that had a spark of a season come back and do it again. Like no one doesn't want it to happen. I just don't know. Nothing shows me that it will happen.
So he was picked. Wasn't he picked the round even after Amir Abdullah the same year?
The pick after Amir Abdullah.
Yeah, he
I
was,
knew it was something
he was the
like
same
Amir
round.
Abdullah. Yeah. That's
The
devastating.
Cardinals were actually on the phone with Amir Abdullah saying they were going to draft him next when a 313 number popped up on Amir Abdullah's phone. And he said, hold on, I got to take this. It was Detroit taking him. And then they're like, oh, now what do we got to do? Oh, let's take David Johnson.
I
what
guess
I'm
we'll
here
take
for.
David Johnson.
I guess we'll take this guy don't ever
He hands Amir Abdullah.
So the Lions held up the Cardinals big time there.
His hands are small.
Pick 13 for me. All right. I will go with the New York Jets. And that's with Le'Veon Bell, Frank Gore, who is the oldest running back now for sure in the league by a couple of years, I think. I think he's, 2 or 3 ahead of Adrian Peterson, I'm pretty sure even. So
36, 37?
Yeah. If he's 37, man, you better be getting like 4 carries a game and be nice to him.
Yeah.
And Kenneth Dixon, I like Kenneth Dixon. He's a cast off from the Baltimore Ravens because the Baltimore Ravens, as we talked about, already have a very full backfield. So they could afford to get rid of Kenneth Dixon. I'm pretty high on him still. And I like LaMichael P. Ryan, Florida. And then Trenton Cannon, he's serviceable as a kick returner, punt returner, and then he can be an occasional fill-in back. So I'm going to put the Jets there at number 13.
Okay. All right, my turn next at number 14. I'm kind of between 2 teams right now. They both have black as their secondary color, if you want to guess. But
I think most running backs now in the NFL are black.
Okay. All right. We just lost our sponsors.
Hey, justice for Ahmaud Arbery. Come on.
All right, yeah.
We got him back now.
I'm going to go with a guy in a team. Well, yeah. I'm going to go with a guy that I might be blinded with also having in Madden. And I'm going to go with the Bengals, led by Joe Mixon. I still like Giovanni Bernard. I don't think he could – yeah, he's a good number 2. He'd never be a good number 1, but I don't know. I really like Joe Mixon, even though he knocked a girl out one time and she had to get her jaw sewn shut because of it. But I like Joe Mixon as a football player, and I think he
like
leads
Kareem Hunt.
the Bengals.
Yeah.
So
It's cool. Running backs have a history of domestic violence apparently in this NFL, but
yes.
they were the top available team that I had 2 on my list, so I had them at 11. So not a bad pick at all.
Okay. I'm right at 9.
All right, RJ, take it on number 15.
This is a shout out for Joel and one of his Madden teams.
Hey!
I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. Chris Carson, Rashawn Penny, Travis Homer, Nick Bellore. For you, Joel, there's another one.
Out of CNU, baby.
I'm going to go Seattle. They love to run the ball. Seems like whoever they got back there get done. They all got hurt last year. They brought in Marshawn. So maybe they'll bring Marshawn back and leave that. You never know.
I'd have been 18. So I'll take it, though. I'll take the Madden love.
Actually, I'm at 22.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Chris Carson a lot. I think he's a very underrated player. Obviously, he was picked later in the draft, and he's still – I think he was a sixth-round pick, wasn't he? Chris Carson was a sixth-round pick. But Travis Homer doesn't get a whole lot of time. But then you got guys like Rashad Penny, who I love. I like Rashad Penny's speed. I think he's another Tariq Cohen, just a little taller. So
Little taller.
a little taller. A lot of taller. All right, number 16 then. I will go with the Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh,
Isaiah's original Madden team.
my original Madden team.
Yeah, Delvin Cook, when he's healthy, is a top 5 running back. I think Alexander Madison has surprised a lot of people as being a pretty solid number 2. And then you got Amir Abdullah back there that can do a little bit of everything.
Fumble a lot, too.
Fumble a lot with his small hands. We both called it, too, when he got drafted. We both
Tiny hands.
We're like, hopefully he takes lessons from Tiki Barber, but apparently he did not.
No.
And then Michael Boone and then C.J. Ham, the fullback.
I love C.J. Ham.
Best fullback name ever, maybe.
Yeah, Ham is perfect. Next to Corey Schlesinger, I don't know how you beat it.
Yeah.
But number 16, then Minnesota Vikings.
All right. Well, at number 17, I'm going to go with a team that I had ranked number 10, actually. And I really hope – he's another one of those guys who I just hope returns to form. I don't know what was happening in Los Angeles, but I'm going to go with the Falcons, who just acquired Todd Gurley. I still think Todd Gurley – I don't know. Like, it's hard to know whether he has potential to lead the league in rushing or if he's really just – over the hill at this point, and injury problems or whatever it might be has affected him too much. But I don't know what was happening with the Rams, if he was on like a play restriction / minutes restriction, whatever it might have been. But I still think he's got it in him. I hope he does.
I hope he does, because you put him over Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. So
Yeah. Well, and I do like
Ito Smith. Yeah, I like Ito Smith. I mean, that would definitely play in it.
Yeah, the Panthers and the Titans are right a little bit after them just because of those number 2 and number 3 were a little higher for the Falcons than for Panthers and Titans.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, just because I feel like we've slighted them enough, there's no depth to this team at all. Well, Christian McCaffrey is arguably the best fantasy running back, for sure, in the NFL. Let's put him right here. He's good enough to carry the entire running back room, to at least get him to this middle ranking.
That pitiful running back room, man. Thank goodness for Alex Armand at fullback, because they're bad. Reggie Bonifin is your second running back? Oh, man. But following that note, we're going to show the workhorse, Derrick Henry, to show his playoff self. He was beating up top-tier teams in the AFC, surprising everyone taking to the Titans to the AFC Championship game last year. Just on legs alone, because Ryan Tannehill certainly did nothing with his 71 yards passing a game.
I mean, it was impressive to see 71 yards passing a game. It was just –
and winning.
I've never seen performances like it. It was just – they should have given him a Hall of Fame jacket already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why he's a top 15 quarterback in the league.
That's why they gave him all that money.
About that. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I mean, you have Darrington Evans and David Fluellen and nobody after that. I like Kari Blasingame. That's one of my favorite running back names is Kari Blasingame.
That is strong.
Derrick Henry, again, like Christian McCaffrey, is carrying that running back room to be number 19 on my list.
All right. The next 4 teams that are available on my list, I could pick or take any of them. It was really hard to kind of that middle, like the 20s, early 20s, late teens was really tough for me to kind of figure out just because it's kind of all over the place. But you may call me a homer, but I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I really like Kerryon Johnson if he can stay healthy. I like Ty Johnson and Bo Scarborough. And I know rookies is hard to talk about with ranking lists for next season when we haven't seen him play it down yet. But DeAndre Swift is possibly the best running back in the class. And if they use him right and have him go in tandem with Kerryon Johnson in the right situations, they could be a problem for a lot of teams.
Well, considering your homer pick went 20 and I had the Lions at 19, I'm more of a homer apparently.
Right. Yeah.
I have 22, so all in this range.
Okay, good stuff. 21, RJ.
All right, following you on rookie running back, I'm going to throw one in here. I think these running backs all fit their offense perfectly. I'm going to go the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is way better than your Redskins reads. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to fit that offense perfectly. Got Damian Williams, Darwin Thompson, both also can fit the offense anywhere. When you add into the receiving game for these running backs, all three of these running backs are guys that can compete as number one fantasy value running backs. So that's 3 starters right there. It's great depth. A little different, not going to be all rushing yards, but they fit their offense perfectly.
They're going to wear down defenses for sure because, I mean, their top 2 guys, Damian Williams and Edwards-Helaire, are both notorious for being power backs that do not go down on first contact. So they're going to wear down defenses, which then Darwin Thompson is your speed back. Even if you get him in for a quick down or two when everyone else is worn out, that guy can break free. So, again, RJ, I had them lower on my list, but at 20, I have them at 24. So it's not that low.
Well, 2 spots.
It's not that low. I just wanted to make a fun face, dude. I just wanted to go.
Well, your list after you pick the Redskins is – I can't even listen to your list anymore.
You picked the Texans at 12. You picked the Texans at 12.
I'd rather have the Texans than the Redskins. You picked the Redskins at what, 9?
I picked the Redskins at 10, but yeah.
And I had him at 31. He had 26.
And let's just say I have the best list. So you
haven't missed. You have the least amount of reaches, in my opinion.
There we go. Wait till the next pick.
It's hard to reach if you're getting this last portion of the list. True. All right, number 22.
And when Joel took all the reaches already.
Oh my gosh. So this team would have been a little further on my list if they did not do the most recent running back acquisition. That's okay. He's probably their 3rd running back now. But the Jaguars, Leonard Fournette, Raekwon Armstead, and then the most recent pickup is Chris Thompson was just signed by them. And obviously he's one of the best receiving running backs in the game. And then I'm a Nebraska guy too. I really like Nebraska. So Devine Ozigbo as their number 4. And then James Robinson is just a guy that's probably going to get cut at the end of the year before the preseason is over. But I like the Jaguars.
I ranked him without Chris Thompson, so I had him at 26 just because I don't even know if Leonard Fournette will finish the season on that team. So
yeah, I know. And I had him towards the bottom too until I saw that Chris Thompson was signed recently.
Yeah, I ranked him pre-Chris Thompson and Leonard Fournette. I doubt he's there after midpoint this season, so that's why I had him at 29 based off of
it. Makes sense. I mean, if you had Chris Thompson, though, it probably does bring the list up a little bit.
Right, for sure. All right, my next team, I still have them ranked all the way down at 18. They lost their like a franchise player a couple of years ago from the running back room, but they found a guy who survived cancer and is a stud. So I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, James Conner, Jalen Samuels, Benny Snell. I think those top 3 guys are good. You got speed. You got James Conner who can do everything. So
yeah, I mean, and Jalen Samuels has the power. He's a tight end also. Mm-hmm. So they've I remember he was a weird fantasy choice. People were picking him up just to see if they could plug him in at tight end and then put him in a flex spot at running back when Conner was down. So
you can put what's his name from the Saints at tight end this year.
Taysom Hill. Yeah.
Taysom Hill, yeah. Pretty fun.
All right, now we're really getting into just a mix of everyone else is pretty much equal besides the Redskins who have already been taken by Joel. So I'm going to go with Another shout out, just a tiebreaker, but another shout out to Joel and his Matt. This is a Madden pick rating. You like speed, so I'm gonna go speed running backs galore. I'm gonna go the Dolphins.
Hey.
Jordan Howard, Matt Breida, Caleb
Howard's
Balazs,
slow.
Miles. Yeah, but he's gonna be. I have to name all the running backs to show the depth.
Yeah, I think
They're not all fast.
Breida and Gaskins are both fast, and then Balaj and Howard are good power backs. So they have a nice. That was my next available team that I had too. So it's a fine pick, RJ. No hate.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, that was bad, almost. Yeah, we're getting into trash zone here.
I think there's a couple teams that aren't trash left.
Is there? All right. Well, then I'm gonna go. Good grief, this is tough. I'm gonna go Arizona Cardinals. If we're gonna count Lamar Jackson as a possible running back, the number 2 scrambling quarterback in the league, Kyler Murray, that's gonna help out Kenyon Drake a little bit. Chase Edmonds. Then they drafted Eno Benjamin this year out of Florida State, and then I like DJ Foster a little bit too there. So that is why I put them at 25.
All right. Well, the team I had at actually 19 is still on the board. A second-year running back I really like. Had him on my fantasy team. Don't mind their backup either. I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders with Josh Jacobs, Jalen Richard, Lynn Bowden, Rod Smith, Alec Ingold. Some of those guys get a little suspect towards the end, but I like Josh Jacobs a lot. I think he could have a really good build on his first year and his second year. So, yeah.
Lynn Bowden's a thug, but he could play quarterback or wide receiver too.
Oh, there we go.
He's out of Kentucky. He's playing a little bit of everything over there. So.
All right, going next. I'm going with next year's AFC East division champions. I'm going the Buffalo Bills. Devin Singletary going in his second year. I suspect him to get better. You still got TJ Yeldon's a solid number 2. After that, there's a big drop-off, but this is where you're going to get this part of the list. If you can give me 2 guys on the rest of the other teams, I put them higher, but every other team only has really 1. So I'll go Buffalo. Bills Mafia.
I'm torn between two teams right now here, but
You're going to take the NFC East team. Come on, you've done all 3. You got to go Eagles here.
Yeah.
They're not. I have 2 teams that are still ahead of them on my list.
Okay, well, we're going to save them for you so that way you take every single NFC East team.
Gosh. All right. I am going to go with I'll go with the Los Angeles Chargers. Austin Eckler, obviously, he even looked better than Melvin Gordon multiple times last year. And then Justin Jackson from Northwestern. I'm got a hankering for some Justin Jackson. And then Josh Kelly, and then everyone else, Bradwell and Bobby Holly, they're terrible. But I like Austin Eckler a lot, and I think Justin Jackson's going to do just fine kind of replacing Eckler in that number 2 role. So I'll put the Los Angeles Chargers there at number 28.
All right. Well, man, I really want that NFC East team to get back around to Joel. So instead of picking the Eagles, I'm going to go with the Bears. The Chicago Bears. You got the shortest man in the world, Tariq Cohen, but they know how – I think he's one of the guys that the Bears, out of all 53 men on their roster, they actually know how to use Tariq Cohen.
There you go. That's fair.
David Montgomery, a lot of people were really high on him last year. A lot of people, especially on the Midwest, and I know some people from Chicago who thought he was going to be a stud. Turns out he wasn't. But I still think he could have a strong second year. But, yeah, and then after that, except for having the name Napoleon Maxwell, everyone isn't worth mentioning.
I like Napoleon. Yeah, the name Napoleon Maxwell is sweet. But yeah. I agree with you. I think David Montgomery is actually in for a little bit of a rebound year. I think the problem is last year, Trubisky was so trash that they could stack the box and stop the run. None of the running backs had any level of success other than Tariq Cohen out of the backfield did a little bit of something every once in a while, and that probably contributed to a majority of Trubisky's trash yards. So I think.
Do you think that's going to change though?
Maybe Foles will be the Super Bowl champ. Hey, he's the one that ranked Foles ahead of Trubisky, and I'm putting him at 21 in the last week's rankings.
Foles garbage. He had one good game.
I think David Montgomery can pound the ball, though. I'm still somewhat high on David Montgomery. I'm not going to write him off after our freshman year, so we'll see what happens year 2.
He won't be going in the first round like some other fantasy drafts last year, though.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
All right, RJ, your last pick.
Well, I told you I was going to leave the Eagles for you, but I just can't do the disrespectful thing and put the other 2 teams ahead of them.
I know.
So I'm going to go with the Eagles here. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Corey Clement. My personal favorite from last year's Madden, Elijah Holyfield. When I got him in my league.
Oh, yeah, Chiefs.
I just can't put the other 2 ahead of the Eagles. They're so bad. I couldn't be that disrespectful to them. So I'm going to go Eagles here.
I love it. Yeah, holy cow! This is tough that I got to pick down between those and then leave even one other team for Isaiah to still pick, because if a college team doesn't deserve to be ahead of them, gosh, I was really having a hard time putting one of these teams at 32, but they both deserve to be at 32, to be quite honest. I'm going to put the Bucs though at 31 on potential alone. I think Ronald
and the fact that Tom Brady's there.
Yeah,
his rushing yards are going to help that offense.
The running game is going to be a little more opened up, but Ronald Jones the second, Dare Ogunbowale, and then Keyshawn Vaughn, I really liked as a late-round sleeper in this year's draft. TJ Logan's athletic, and Aka Cedric Ware as the name, Aka Cedric Ware. So
I mean, you're bringing in a 1,000-yard rushing quarterback to the Bucs, so he's going to help out.
What a career!
Fantastic career. You seem more happy with those 1,000 yards rushing than he did with all the touchdown passes.
That was funny. He's just got such a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to be happy about something.
Yeah. All right. It's a shame he didn't get those 10 receiving yards the Super Bowl a couple years ago.
It wouldn't have mattered.
Butterfingers.
Without further
Bad throw.
Without further ado, we will go with the Los Angeles Rams. I think the worst thing I could say about the Rams is that if they still had C.J. Anderson, he would be the only bright spot in this running back room. Like, that is how bad their running back room seems to me. We talked a little bit about the problems with Todd Gurley when we were ranking the Falcons, but yeah, like, he couldn't have been that bad to get him up. But maybe, I don't know. That's why I think there's more to it with Todd Gurley.
Bring back Zach Stacy from the XFL, dude. Zach Stacy, for goodness sakes. Anybody.
No, and it's funny, Joel, because I was going to make the joke that I would pick the Clemson Tigers over them, because I honestly, you could, in 5 years when who's ever at Clemson right now is in the league, they'll probably have a better running back room compiled than these guys.
I love the C.J. Anderson comparison to finish that off for sure. But you said the worst thing you could say about the Rams, but honestly, you could have just named the 5 guys on that depth chart, and you're like, that speaks for itself. I mean, it's trash.
Yeah. No, and hey, shout out C.J. Anderson. What was he on? Like, him and, like, he was at multiple Super Bowls in a row. Like, he did what he was asked to do to fill in for Todd Gurley, so I don't want to give him too much crap. But, yeah, the Rams just have, by far and away, besides the Bucs, the worst running back room in the league. And it's not looking like a good year for the L.A. Rams.
Yep. Bottom of the NFC West this year, I think.
Maybe the best competition, though, because who's going to start? We have no idea.
Yeah, and then even the other point off of that I just thought of now, Jared Goff has the most success off play action. But if your running game sucks, who cares?
It's going to be like Jared Goff we saw in the Super Bowl. The dude had no talent at all. He wasn't able to do play action, and they just sucked.
He's a great play action quarterback, but that's all he's been so far in his career where he's had any level of success. And now you have a terrible running game, perhaps the worst running game in the league, and you're going to have no success. That ball is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're going to look like the Chicago Bears offense. They're going to look like last year's Chicago Bears offense.
I was going to say it's a reverse problem with the Chicago Bears this year. They have such a bad quarterback that the running backs can't be good. the Rams have such bad running backs that the quarterback can't be as good as he could be. I don't think he's still like anything incredible, but Jared Goff has shown flashes when he has a strong running game behind him, and now you are just taking all of that away from him, and he will not show any flashes.
Yeah.
That Super Bowl window shut pretty tight for the Rams quickly.
Yeah.
They were all in a couple years ago.
People
spending
are
all that
calling
money to
McVay the
trade,
next
you know,
Belichick,
players.
dude. People are calling McVay the next Belichick. That's funny.
And that went out the window quick.
Yeah.
Fastest spiral I've ever seen.
We'll get to it when we talk about coaches. I still think McVay is a very good coach, but yeah, not the next Bill Belichick.
Maybe it's a GM problem over for the Rams then, but McVay, obviously, there's plenty of coaches that have been one-year wonders. I mean, Josh McDaniel was a one-year wonder for the Broncos when they had Tebow, and then
Or when he traded the entire team away.
yeah, and then he was trash, and then he got fired, I think, mid-season. So there's plenty of coaches that have had one-year wonders. And I like McVay. I think he's okay. I probably would put him 12 to 15 range, but we'll see when we do that list next time. We are going to transition now to our discussion topic. What is the plan for all the major sports to return to action after this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah. Well, I'll introduce this a little bit because I did some research. I know, Joel, you did too. But for anybody watching this, we're obviously, when we talk about sports returning, we're just presuming they will be without fans. So I don't think NHL, MLB, and NBA, I would be surprised if by the ends of their 2019-2020 seasons, they are allowed to have fans. But yeah, so first off, we have some of the more concrete news. The MLB, all the owners signed an agreement to try to start a plan to start in July. So that's kind of the biggest stuff coming out of MLB. There's obviously questions about financial side of that and all those things, but just a shortened season starting in July. What do you guys think of that if in 2 months we're watching baseball?
Yeah, so I saw they're trying to do the spring training mid-June, and then they'll do a shortened spring training, do an 82-game schedule in July 4, which I'm already a proponent of baseball doing an 82-game schedule anyway. But the games obviously are going to be played in the home ballparks are not going to have any fans, and that's if the local guidelines even allow it. And then they're going to expand the playoffs, though, to 14 teams instead of 10. And, again, no fans. Over half of the games in the season will be versus the divisional foes. For example, the Tigers, half of their 82 games, so 40-plus games are going to be played with either the White Sox, the Indians, the Twins, or the Royals.
Yeah.
And then you have some questions that come up, and obviously one of the more outspoken players in the league, Sean Doolittle, is a reliever in baseball for the Nationals, and he immediately tweeted at the commissioner for baseball, and he said, like, how are you going to test these players every single week? How do you get these guys to play safely? And that doesn't just account for the players, that accounts for all the other management for baseball, the other people that work inside operations for baseball. How often are you going to be testing these guys? And then what happens if even one player tests positive for COVID-19? Are they just going to be sent off and they find another guy off the crumbs from AAA or AA just to come up and fill it? They're expanding the rosters to 30 instead of 25. So we'll see how that helps. But, again, it's going to be a whole new ballgame again if we see more cases of COVID-19 come up. How are these sports, all of them, not just baseball, how are they all going to react for one player? Do they just send him down and put him on IR and let him quarantine and then come back? I don't know how they're doing this.
Yeah, with baseball, the biggest thing I think is going to be the money. Because they're going to have – there's a shortened season. Players still want to get paid. The latest thing the owners offered were a 50-50 revenue split on the TV deal. I don't think the players are going to take that. But I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle, actually, instead of the testing. I think the players are going to want to get back and play because, not a lot of people are smart with their money these days. So I think that's going to be a big hurdle. There's rumors about them potentially changing the divisions for this year, having more local base, so you're playing only your teams in your area. There's also, like you said, the governors control everything with this right now with their state regulations. So there's a chance that you might actually be playing some of these places not at their home park, they might have to play at like their spring training place down in Florida, Arizona, like places like Michigan that might not let you open. So it's going to be a lot of stuff to go on, but we're hoping, like you said, July, maybe they can get something going and playing. Korean baseball started. They don't have fans in, but they actually put in cardboard cutouts of fans in the stands.
Get out of here. What? I didn't see that.
Good, look it up.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, baseball, at least, I don't think no fans is going to hurt baseball that much. It's not a big-time crowd, affects the game as much as, like, football does. So, I don't think it would hurt the product at all. I think football would be the big one if it had no fans. I mean, that's part of the game.
That's funny that you bring up the cardboard cutouts because I'm so bored watching sports that I recorded ESPN 8, the Ocho, and I watched the marble races, and the guy put freaking marbles in the stands.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yes.
Dude, my wife and I watched that while we ate dinner tonight, and it was fantastic, intense.
Riveting.
And it was exactly what I needed to see without sports.
To go on your testing, so the UFC did return this weekend, and they actually had a fighter lined up to fight tested positive after the weigh-ins. So they're lucky it didn't spread more because they were all out there weighing these next people, and luckily it was just him that tested positive. So they just canceled that one fight and were able to continue on with the show. So that could have been a pretty devastating thing if he was able to spread that to all the fighters and they would have canceled the only sporting event we've had so far.
Right.
Yeah, there were some great fights that night. I watched mostly replays because I still refuse to pay for anything, especially without fans. Because I think listening to the fans in UFC, like cheering for blood, I think that's kind of like what makes it interesting and stuff. And I think the players hit harder when they feed off crowd noise. So it was definitely kind of eerie watching it and watching the replays. But there were still some really good fights. And hearing Joe Rogan's Golden Pipes, he's one of my favorite announcers in all sports. It still made it worth it. I'm watching sports. Like I said, I watched NASCAR too when it rolled around, and like I didn't watch all 280 laps, but like I catched in a little bit. I caught in a little bit, but
yeah. Well, yeah. And talking of racing, moving on from the big sports, NASCAR, the Cup Series is set to return this Sunday, the 17th. No fans, obviously. Not sure much about how the testing works for that and everything. I mean, you're in a car by yourself. You're really not close to anyone. The pit, I think the pit crew would be the most problematic thing, but all those guys are wearing fireproof suits and gloves anyway. Really, their faces are showing, so they just have to put masks on. But are you guys going to be watching NASCAR since it's one of the only sports right now?
I couldn't get drunk enough to watch all 280 laps. I can tell you that. If I wanted to watch cars do that, I'd get on the highway, grab a couple beers, and just start sipping on the highway, rooting cars on. But I don't get the appeal of watching cars go around 280 times. But I'd be pretty confident I'll probably tune in for a couple laps, try to time it right for the end of the show and end of the race, and see if I can watch the last 20 laps because those get pretty intense when you get players trying to cut inside and then someone flies into a wall because they cut inside. So we'll see what happens.
We're not NASCAR. He said he called them players instead of cars. So you can tell we're not a NASCAR. So
no.
Yeah. No, we're the cross country experts that don't talk about cross country. That's our slogan online on the 6Three.com.
But yeah, not a big NASCAR fan. I heard they're not going to be doing like a poll running, trying to find a poll, running the free times to get a order. It's a random order, which is going to be interesting. So you might have some guys that aren't as good up front. Maybe they'll get a shot. Maybe they'll make a huge wreck because of that. I might tune in for the last 20 laps or so to see what happens.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, if you don't know, NASCAR is now, they do it in, I think, like stages. So they'll do 70 lap, and then 140 lap. And you get points for winning every stage. So you may have to set your timer to watch the end of every stage.
Good night.
Yeah, so it's just a huge commitment.
When did they change that? Gosh, I haven't watched NASCAR in probably 12 years.
My dad watches it, and sometimes we'll be there on a Sunday when nothing else is on. And I don't know, it's maybe been a couple years, but and then another sport that there's actually some dates on the calendar for is golf. I think June 1st weekend in June the PGA Tour returns, maybe a little earlier. I think June 5 through 7 was the first tournament I saw. But are you guys going to be watching more golf than normal because it's one of the only sports returning so early?
I want a good nap. Yeah, I'll watch golf.
All right.
I personally like to golf. I don't watch it on TV unless it's like the Masters and Tiger's competing. I'll watch the only golf I'm really going to watch. I want to watch the Tiger and Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson. I will watch that.
I'd pay money for that, dude. I'll put down PPV on that.
I will. I'm planning on watching that for sure when that happens. I think that's going to be. I think that's that.
Dude, Peyton Manning trash talking Tom Brady in that pre-meeting. That was amazing.
I mean, he's never won anything else on him, really, so he's got to, that's all.
Yeah.
All right, and then, another similar, at least from what I saw, similar to the MLB was the NHL. They all have an agreement to kind of try to look at a May, or they're planning right now on a July return date for the NHL. Obviously, no fans. To me, that's one of the sports that could have some success with it because no one's physically touching the same object. Like with baseball, people are touching with their hands, with their skin, the ball. Basketball, people are when you're pressing someone, you're right on top of them. With hockey, you have full pads everywhere, literally just your face and even your mouth because you have a face guard is showing. And then it's a puck no one touches with their hands, maybe just the refs. And really you run into each other, but you're all wearing pads. So I could see some success in that and maybe not a lot of worry when or if someone does test positive. But I think that one could be coming back. And that seems – the only thing with that is hockey has a lot of international players.
I was going to say the Canada-U.S. border thing was what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, that's the tough thing is you have a ton of European players, a ton of Canadian players. Most teams actually have more international players than United States players per team. So, yeah, that makes it difficult if those guys did go back home, depending on their incubation with everything since Europe kind of got hit earlier than us.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they wanted to try to get back to the training facilities by June 1st already. But just like the NBA, their season was pretty much almost done. Right. And I've heard some talks that NHL might just bypass the postseason completely and just wait for the exhibition games to roll back around again to start the next season. Just call it.
Yeah. With both hockey and NBA, both seasons end in mid-June usually. So there's talk about not having it at all. I know NBA, there's been a lot of talk about maybe when they return having a very short season left and then go right into playoffs with expanded playoffs. Mm-hmm. I would personally love, we missed the NCAA tournament. Let's just get all the NBA teams in a tournament, single elimination, and let's do it. That would be the greatest playoffs ever for the NBA. And it's only one game, so the big teams could lose. And, it could be it would be fun to watch.
Because those are the games where the teams try the hardest, man. A lot of the players seem like they give a crap less about a regular one of 82 game season. You're not going to see LeBron James sitting out because he doesn't feel like it. You're going to get the best from everybody. That's going to be good basketball.
And you're not going to see an 8 seed beat a 1 seed 4 times, but you might see it one time when it's only one game elimination.
Yeah.
So, that's what I love.
Considering in my research, the NBA was one of the few teams that one of the only sports that did not even have a real plan set in place. So people are just kind of waiting to see what Adam Silver's even going to do. But Silver says he's trying to wait until everything is completely normal, and he doesn't really have to decide until the end of June. But when is anything going to be back to normal again? This could be a new normal. I think people are going to start thinking twice about going to a packed NFL stadium or an arena to watch basketball. So, I mean, I would like to see a very straightforward option where they just jump straight to postseason. Don't even try to resume the regular season if they do come back. Maybe even make it a 5 seed on each conference because we haven't seen a 6, 7, or 8 seed win anything in years in the NBA. So just do the teams that have a chance, honestly.
Right. Yeah, and I wanted to wait to I'm glad we're talking about the NBA last because it was the most confusing one just because they don't have a plan. So the two things I've kind of heard is just call it a wash, start normally next year, have the normal 82-game season, and just go back into it starting the season with empty stadiums. But kind of just, yeah, pretending this season didn't happen. But it seems like a lot of that's more kind of the NFL or NBA offices, but the owners and coaches and some of the players, they seem to be preferring, and I think a lot of NBA people had wanted this to happen for a while, is a shortened season starting on Christmas Day. So that's the other option, is start in June or end of June or beginning of July, just do the playoffs. Maybe go back to how the NBA was in the 90s and do the 5-game series for the first round and make it just quick. All played at a neutral site. So the MGM Grand in Las Vegas offered to the NBA and the WNBA to use their hotel. They'll clear out their entire hotel facilities and just have it be players. And they have areas for, I think, 3 hotels and maybe 2 or 3 courts that they could do. And then the NBA would just do the playoffs and then start the next season with only 50 games or 60 games starting on December 25. And the commissioner has thrown that out of just regularly doing that, cutting the season down, starting on Christmas to not have to compete with the NFL. So I could really see that happening because some people have wanted that to happen even before all this started, but it's hard because they haven't set a directive or a plan in motion at all, at least that they've communicated to us. So
I think the NBA really hasn't set a plan yet, is because they are waiting to see. I think they want to have a playoffs because if they pushed out the draft lottery and they postponed the draft, because I think they still want to plan on finishing the season before the draft. If they weren't going to play the season, they would get the draft so they could have some sort of revenue ratings, talk about basketball. Like the NFL draft was the most watched draft, I think, ever, ratings-wise. So, I mean, they would get good ratings for having the NBA draft right now, but they're pushing it out because they want to finish the season. They want to crown a champion, whether it be shorter or not. The only thing I think with jumping straight into playoffs is you might have injury concern. So I would just do maybe to restart a preseason, give them 2 or 3 games, expedition games, just to get into, and then playoffs, figure it out from there. But I think they're going to try and crown a champion before the summer is over.
Yeah, I kind of want to skim through a little bit of football because we didn't really totally touch on the NFL or college sports. But last week, obviously, NFL did their 3-hour-long schedule release show, which, again, that's their way they're making revenue. Go for it. But they're still planning on 2020 season with contingency plans. They said they would refund tickets to season ticket holders if the stadiums can't be played with fans. However, reports indicate that they may allow just season ticket holders to attend, which usually will result in about a half capacity, maybe 2/3 capacity, and hopefully it can still account for some social distancing. If they have fanless games, though, experts do estimate that teams will lose an average of $175 million a year.
Woo!
And Patriots are first. Last year they made $375 million. So that really kind of sets the outlier mark there.
Yeah, and they canceled all the overseas games. No London games, no Mexico City games. They canceled all that. So that season.
Yeah. And then the college sports, I guess, to me, they're the most desperate for all sports for their seasons to resume because they're entirely reliant on TV contracts as primary income. So especially now that there's a growing sense that athletes should be paid also, they might start to be panicking a little about that. And if the entire season is lost, some schools could be facing extinction in some of their specific sports. And again, I also saw talks about how Georgia is ready to go, saying that July 1, they think they can start playing sports. But then you have schools like Bama and Georgia and Mississippi that are playing football, but California and New York schools aren't playing football. There could be chaos. Who gets to decide that all of them, one of them can play and one of them can't play? That seems kind of unfair to some level.
Right. Yeah, it would with the NFL in its entirety, you have some people in the next couple months who in their cities and in their states, they can go back to facilities and get working out and doing everything that they're able to do. But then, the New York Giants and the New York Jets are the 2 teams in LA, they can't do anything. So who knows how much it'll make a difference, but it could make a big difference in the impact quality of play just because you get a jump on people. So it's tough to I don't know. I don't think that's worth just not having it, but I do think there has to be more regulation on what you're allowed to do. Make it the player's choice themselves. Don't make their hands tied with it. Like the NBA is kind of doing is, hey, you can go outside the city to this site that you're able to go to. It's totally your choice. I guess you either have to do that or you have to let no one do it until a certain date.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We'll see what happens in the next coming months. Obviously, will be pretty telling on the direction of when sports can return. But until then, we are going to go to our third trivia session showdown. I'll be distributing the questions this week. RJ and Isaiah finally get to go up against each other, and this is all NFL. So get your pads and pens out, and we're going to try to make this one.
All right.
You get us music too, huh? Look at you.
No, I'm not going to do that the whole time. That was just a little bit of prep. I don't want copyright infringements. I don't need copyright infringements.
That show's back on the air, man.
I know. Jimmy Kimmel's hosting it. We got Kimmel hosting it.
That's terrible.
All right. Question number 1. Darius Slay was drafted in 2013 in the second round out of Mississippi State by the Detroit Lions. He was stuck with the number 30 for his jersey number his rookie year because which cornerback on the team already had number 23? It's got to go back 7 years in the brain, boys. All right, y'all ready? Let's see it.
Oh, I got this one wrong.
Oh, man. All right.
I can't see what he wrote.
I can't see what he wrote. Okay, so you have Rashawn Melvin. What did you have, Isaiah?
I didn't write anything because I have no idea.
Oh,
I guess. I tried.
So Chris Houston was the corner at the time.
Oh, man, that was such a...
Rasheem Mathis was on the other side.
That's what I was trying to figure out, Mathis. I was like, I can't think his name.
All right. Since Larry Fitzgerald's rookie year in 2004, he has finished second on the team in receiving yards only 3 times in his 16-plus seasons. Who, besides Anquan Bolden one time in 2006, finished first on the Cardinals in receiving yards the other 2 times?
Was it the same person?
No. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, it is the same person. Yeah, the other 2 times. Anquan Bolden was first 1 year of those, and then this guy was first the other 2 years. Do you guys want one hint?
Yes.
All right. 2013 and 2014 were the years.
I don't know how to spell, so don't blame me on my spelling.
It's not a terribly hard name to spell, so I'm going to give you that hint also.
All right.
All right, let's see what you guys got. What, you have nothing again?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I went Preston, Michigan.
Steve Breston was second for 2 of those seasons, but Michael Floyd was the wide receiver that finished. Yeah, Michael Floyd. And then the other guys that what could have been second was Early Doucette, Andre Roberts, John Brown, David Johnson, and J.J. Nelson and Christian Kirk have been the other guys that have finished second. All right. What high-profile college athlete finished 4th in rushing yards in 2013 for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
No clues.
$66 rush yards total is the hint. All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Denard Robinson is correct.
I got one right.
All right, RJ's got one. I should have put some hockey in there for you, Isaiah. My bad.
Oh, it's good. I'm just bad at this type of trivia. So
It's 1-0, guys. It's not. You're talking
Yeah, it's still early.
about.
4 questions. It's still early. All right. After Drew Bledsoe left the Buffalo Bills in 2004, they had a bad time trying to find a leader at the position, and they tried 21 quarterbacks to throw a pass from 2005 to 2019. Name 3 of the top 4 quarterbacks in passing yards for the Bills at that time. You'll get bonus points if you can guess them all in order.
Said name 3 or 2.
Just name 3 of the 4.
Go back with the question one more time.
2 of these 4 are also active quarterbacks in the NFL. I will give that hint.
Wait, so what's dude? You totally go read the question again. Now you confused me with that one.
Well, Drew Bledsoe left in 2004. So basically from 2005 to 2019, the Bills had 21 quarterbacks throw a pass for him.
Uh-huh.
Name 3 of the top 4 in passing yards for the Bills in that time.
all right, come on, RJ. I actually might know one of these.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, show it.
Ready?
Taylor, McCown, Allen, Edwards, Sims, and EJ Manuel. Okay, so none of you got 3, but I think you got 2 right. I think Isaiah. RJ had 1 right. RJ had Trent Edwards right, and then
Okay.
Isaiah, you had Tyrod Taylor right, and you had
Yes.
Oh, and then so Josh Allen wasn't okay. So you each had 1 right. So first place by a lot for the Bills in that span is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Threw over 11,000 yards. He threw over 11,000 yards for the Bills. Tyrod Taylor was second. Tyrod Taylor was second. J.P. Losman was 3rd, and Trent Edwards was 4th. And then there's a fall off. Number 5 was Josh Allen. 6, E.J. Manuel. Then Kyle Orton, and then Kelly Holcomb. So yeah, it falls a little bit there.
Thinking of Fitzpatrick when I put McCown.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I thought that's your.
No, I was like, he played for a lot of teams. He plays for the Dolphins now.
Yeah, that's a fair comparison. If you're gonna mix up McCown and Fitzpatrick, I don't blame you.
So neither of us got that one right then?
Nope. You each got 1 right though.
No, I did better than you though.
We just got 1.
I got number 2 on the list though.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, that's how we're gonna go on it though. All right.
I'm just saying.
All right. The 1998 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions selected cornerback from Tennessee, Terry Fair. Right before the Vikings took Randy Moss at 21. So, can you name the one wideout taken before Randy Moss that year was taken at number 16 in the draft?
98?
Yeah.
Shoot.
I could give a major hint, but I think that would really
No.
Okay.
No hints.
All right.
All right.
All right, let's see what you got.
I think I just
Nothing.
I said David Boston. Was it Terry Glenn? Which one is it?
It's not Terry Glenn. It's actually Kevin Dyson,
Ah,
the guy that was held at the inch line in the Super Bowl by the Rams.
Yep.
All right. It's still 1-0, RJ. Going into question 6. In the second year of existence for the Houston Texans, which was 2003, they had a 4th-round rookie running back break the 1,000-yard mark for the season and won the Pepsi Rookie of the Year award. What was even more surprising is he only played 3 years in the league and already had 3,200-plus rushing yards in 3 years as a 4th-round running back. Do you know who this is? All right, RJ, it sounds like you might have something. Isaiah said no.
I guessed I'm 98% sure I'm wrong, but how about Ron Dane?
Okay, it's a solid pick, but it's actually Dominic Davis. That's impressive, though. And he only played 3 years because he broke his leg, basically, in his third year. But he was hitting 1,000 yards in all 3 of his seasons, and he was a 4th-round running back.
Good.
All right, number 7. The 2009 Seattle Seahawks had 3 top wide receivers that are least known for their time with Seattle. Who were 2 of those 3 guys?
2000, what year was it?
2009.
I may be thinking way too long ago. Or not long ago enough. Yeah, this is not long ago enough.
Wait, so, question. Were they not known for that team before or after? Like, they're older or younger?
So this is their it kind of varies,
Was
but
it better after or better before?
Both.
all of them are different. Yeah, all of them are different. I could give you the teams that they were the most famous or well known for, but it might be a huge giveaway.
I'll take it.
So Cincinnati is one of them. Detroit is another one, and New England is the other.
Man, I just I don't have a concept of time.
I don't know. Cincinnati, Detroit, New England.
Yeah.
How many do you have to get right?
Just 2.
Got one written down.
Right. Oh, never mind. I won't show it.
Then you'll give RJ his other one.
Right, yeah.
I don't have probably any of them. I think I'm thinking the wrong time frame, but
The New England one is throwing me off. I'm trying to think who.
Okay, I'll give you that hint. He was a Super Bowl MVP.
Ah! Hold on. Shit. One number 84.
Oh, there you go. You're getting somewhere, RJ.
Oh, my God. Oh, I got it.
I don't have it then, but I'm not going to erase it.
You got to know those Super Bowl MVPs, my man.
I don't.
That was a good clue. Thank you.
I didn't have that clue as a written down. I just kind of BS that one real quick, but
All right. I got 2. That's all I can't come up with a Bengals one.
well, I think that's the easiest one. But I think he's so not known for that time in Seattle. Like it's hard to think
Wait.
of.
I don't know how to spell that one, though.
Okay. I think you got that one right, that means.
All right, I'm good.
All right, show up. So Isaiah didn't get those, but you got teams right.
Yeah, Mike Williams, Deion Branch, TJ, who's your mama?
So you got TJ Hushmanzada and Deion Branch.
Who's the Lions guy?
The Nate Burleson.
Ah, I got 2. That was all I needed, right?
Yep, 2 is correct. Yep, you got it. All right.
And Mike Williams was on there, too, you know.
He was, but it was a couple years later.
Yeah, I know.
All right, number 8. The 2006 Baltimore Ravens had arguably the greatest core 4 linebacker group of all time as they combined for 5 interceptions, 35 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 354 tackles that year. Can you name all 4 of those linebackers?
What year was it? 2006?
Yep.
I can name 2.
Part of me wants to – I think 4 is very tough. I might accept 3.
That's even tough, man. How about 1?
Everyone would get 1. I think my wife would get 1.
What question number is this?
8.
Okay.
You get bored already. Come on.
Oh, I got 2. I don't know the other 2 to save my life, though.
Yeah, same here. I put 2 down.
I bet you guys got like the same too. I'm like absolutely certain you got the same 2.
All
Because
right.
I think those are the 2 easiest ones.
Is one of them still in the league?
One of them is still in the league out of those 4.
All right.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Okay, show up then. Let's see your same 2. Yep, that's who I thought you'd guess. T-Sizzle.
Both got the
He
same.
says,
All right, so let's see if this helps. One was notoriously known as a pass rusher for a while for the Patriots as well. And also the other one is a CBS broadcaster on CBS football.
that helps me not at all.
Okay.
The one was on the Patriots.
Is it Ninkovich?
Nope. I like the guess. Ninkovich.
The
He's a-
one's on CBS.
Yep, one works for
Linebacker.
CBS. I'm going to say you're not getting it. Adalius Thomas is the pass rusher. And then the one that works for CBS is Bart Scott.
Oh, son of a. Can't wait. Can't believe I missed that.
Never heard of those people.
Oh. Well, this one I think you guys will both get right, probably. I picked this one for sure. That was easy. The 2018 New York Jets
Hey.
had 13 players with at least 70 yards receiving, which led the league in that category with most players that had at least 70 yards receiving. Who led that team in receiving yards with 752 that year?
In 2018?
Yep, a year ago.
Did I have his name? Did I have his name written down on an earlier answer?
No.
No?
I don't think so. I think so. I'm trying to
I don't
remember.
know, Sean. Let me.
Did he play for the Jets? I'm going to write him down again.
Not this past season, season before.
Yeah, yep, 2 seasons ago.
I know he played for the Jets, but I don't know if he's going to be leading. All right.
All right, let's see what you got. Robbie Anderson's correct.
All right.
All right, question 10. A lot of people dog Stafford because he can't win playoff games when each year stats prove that he either has the worst running game with him or a bottom 5 defense. In 2016, though, Stafford led the Lions to a wild card game in a 9-7 season when their leading rusher had 350 rush yards. Who was their leading rusher in 2016 when they played the Seahawks in the wild card game?
2016?
Yep.
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I have my time frame right.
Time is a construct.
Mm.
Oh,
Did
hold
he play the whole season? Was he healthy the whole season?
I think so. Might have missed a game or 2, but I think he was healthy the whole season.
All right.
2016. What's his name?
Isaiah's looking pretty confident right there. That's nice to see.
I mean, if I have the years right, I could be right.
That's usually what
Trying
happens.
to remember his name. Oh my. Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay. I just fuck. Yes. All right.
All right. Well, let's see it. You both guessed Javid Best, but the correct answer is Theo Riddick.
No.
Zach Zenner was second. Javid Best got hurt really early that year.
I was thinking of the year when they were 5-0, and David Best had like 400 yards rushing, I think, before he got hurt.
Yeah, so
You said
that was 2015 when he had that. So that concludes. RJ, it looks like you got 2. 3?
3.
Okay, let me count this. Oh, yep, you got
I
3.
got 0.
Okay. And yeah, I'm gonna count Isaiah's. Yeah, it's 0. But it's okay. It's okay. Those were tough. RJ only got 3. That's still 30%. And RJ's an NFL genius, so that says a lot.
If anything in the NFL isn't within the last 5 years, I am not going to know the answer.
Oh. Come on. You were born in 94.
Yeah, no, I didn't start following.
So what's going to be – I'll do the questions for you guys next week. Any suggestions on what you guys want the topics to be?
Same thing. Same thing that we just did. I love those. I'll win them all.
Yes. Exclusively what I wouldn't know.
You can do some movie trivia, dude. It doesn't all got to be sports, but whatever. Run it. Get random. Don't do like what is the Pythagorean theorem, because I don't give a crap.
That's
I
question.
like some theology trivia.
Oh, yeah, I'm good at theology. RJ knows nothing because he's an agnostic, but it's fine.
All right, Joel, I got a theology trivia question for you.
Right now?
Yeah, at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, who punched Arius in the face? He's a very famous
Person that made the Nicene Creed?
No, he at the Council of Nicaea, where they made the Nicene Creed, he struck down Saint Arius.
I'm just going to throw a dog out there. Martin Luther, dude.
No, Saint Nick.
No kidding.
Santa Claus punched a man at a theology council.
Sounds like a Santa Claus movie for sure.
Yeah, they stripped him of his priesthood.
And that's why he became Santa, because he had nothing else going for him. All right, yeah, RJ, theology questions, biblical questions. Let's do it. Let's do a Bible test.
Not going to happen, guys. But it will be a complete surprise. I'm not going to tell you at all.
All right, fair enough. We'll allow it. All right.
Because Joel studies. Be careful with him.
Well, then I guess until May 19, 2020, we'll be back. Appreciate you joining us on this long show. It looks like it went about an hour and 22. So,
Hey.
Gabby. But see you guys next week. Thanks for coming on.
Out.
All right.